And if you're in the kind of place where you sort of feel a bit ungrounded, sometimes just like hands physically on the thighs or hands come into the chest might feel quite settling. Not for everybody, but maybe for some. So you can always just be a bit intentional about where you place your hands and just allow your breath just to come and go for a minute. Don't feel like you've got to rush in and change anything. Just give yourself a moment or two just to pause. Say pause, it doesn't mean the stuff inside the brain pauses, but our body is having a pause. And maybe that just creates enough physical quiet just for us to see maybe what is spinning around in the head, how we're feeling, what we're with, if we're carrying stuff. And there might be something that today you're really needing. It might be why you ended up here. You might have sort of come with a need or an intention for yourself, which is lovely. And if you haven't got one, that's lovely too. In a world where you can be swept up in that sort of harsh narrative where you're hard on yourself, you push yourself, you force yourself. Let Friday mornings be a little resistance against that, a place where we are gentle with ourselves, are patient with ourselves, and accepting of where we are and what we've got in the moment. For the next minute or so, I'm just going to invite you to start to potentially lengthen and deepen your breath. As much or as little feels comfy. Doesn't need to be a big sort of dramatic breath. It can still be subtle and steady. To see how it feels, just to play with slowing it down just a little bit. If you think of that really turbulent sea and then just you trying just to lower and calm the waves just a little bit. Amazing. And remember that you can come back here anytime today that you like, even when we're moving, or if I'm guiding you to do something else, you can leave, you can ignore me, and you can come back here as much as you need. We're going to start to move a little bit now. So if you want to open your eyes, give them a blink, have a little wriggle, see what you need. Oh, okay. So we're going to start a couple of different options. So you're just going to choose whatever is going to be best for you and your body today. We're either going to just relax the hands on the thighs, palms up or palms down. We're either going to do a little kind of, I guess a little bit like we're going to start with a sort of backstroke motion with the shoulders, but we're going to go one at a time. So it will look a little bit like one shoulder and then the other sort of rolling back. And with that roll back, what we're going to try and get today is a little bit of a spinal movement. So instead of that, where my spine is still, we're going to let the shoulder roll back, but also let the spine turn a little bit in that direction. If your shoulders aren't up for that rolliness today, if that is, it always causes a bit of trouble, then you might just bring your hands together at your heart, shoulders stay stable, and instead you're just going to do the sort of the turny spiny bit. So if you take the spine movement from that movement, and we're just going to take a little turn and then come back to the middle, and you're going to take a little turn and take it back. So you can pick and choose, you can bring those shoulders in or keep them stable. But if you imagine that your chest starts facing right ahead of you, whichever movement we're doing, we're just taking that angle of the chest just a little bit off to the side. So we're kind of targeting the thoracic spine. So sort of the section of the spine roughly here, where our ribs are. Just gonna pop you on gallery, so all I can see is me, and I don't really need to see them. I want to see you. Lovely. And that spine twisty movement can, some of you might find that there's quite a lot of movement there. There might be less movement. I always feel really stiff and sticky in that thoracic spine. So it feels quite like my body is really kind of sticky there. And then just take it the other direction if you're with your shoulders. So if you're with your shoulders, you're just going to start to take them forward. But again, you're still trying to let your body have a little turn. And if you're here, then you're just going to quite like that turn actually. Lovely. So you can feel how we're not isolating just the shoulder. The shoulder sort of leading us into that sort of spinal movement. So shoulders are getting a little bit of a roll, but we're also working into that spine. Beautiful. And then just have a little rest there. Just come to stillness when you're ready. See if you need any little wriggles or anything. And then just sort of aware of that portion of your spine, and especially sort of the sides, because when we're sort of twisting, we tend to, not always, but the sensation is often sort of in the sides of the body. You might just take a couple of breaths again and just sort of, even if you can't physically feel your breath in this area of your body, maybe you just sort of imagine that you can take a bit more breath into that space. Maybe you visualize your ribs kind of just expanding out to the side, not just out to the front. So if I don't concentrate when I breathe, my ribs basically just go forward. There's never very much going on here, which probably explains why I always feel really stiff and sticky there. So sometimes I'll just even put my hands on the sides of my ribs or the sides of my body, and I will try and breathe so that my hands move just a tiny bit out, but it's really hard for me. So kind of like we're almost like using our movement today to sort of maybe create a bit more space for our breath to move into, and to sort of increase that sort of flexibility of the intercostal muscles that help our ribs expand. And then just let that go. Let your breath come back to normal. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to sit back in my chair for this one just because I feel like I want a bit of support, but I'll leave that up to you. We're just going to take our arms forward. So you can do both arms. You can do one arm at a time, just whatever you need to do. My hands are going to start facing each other, like we're almost going to be carrying like a beach ball. And then we're just going to take our palms and turn them out towards the outside of the room. And we're just going to gently turn them in and turn them out. Beautiful. Good. So really gentle movement, not kind of, don't feel like you've got to twist them all the way around 360 degrees, but just in and out. So there's a little rotation in that shoulder. And if it helps you, you might actually do one arm at a time, and then with the opposite hand, just kind of pop it on the top of your shoulder so that that rotation in and out is, you can feel it. You can feel what your shoulder's doing. Good. So just aware of like sensations, how that feels. You can always just bring your arms further down as well and rest them on your legs if you need. You don't have to hold them in the air the whole time. Otherwise they'll get tired. Good. And then let's all just rest them, otherwise they will just feel like they're going to drop off. And then our next movement, I'm just going to sort of show you while you're letting your arms have a little rest. The hands are going to come back out in front. You can go straight armed, or you can keep them a bit closer and have a nice bent arm, which is, that's preference. You could do a bit of both. But our starting position is here. And what we're going to do is try and keep one arm and shoulder where it is, and then just reach forward a little bit with our other arm. So what's happening in the upper back and the shoulder, you sort of, again, you can cross your hand and feel it if you want. It might be a bit awkward, but if you can feel your shoulder blade with your hand as you reach forward, it's almost as though if you imagine my hands are your shoulder blades now, we've got one shoulder blade stable and the other one is sort of moving around and forward as we reach. And we're just going to alternate a few like that. And we're not going to reach like strain and reach. We're actually going to try and keep our spine where it is. So we're going to either keep resting on the chair or keep our spine nice and supported. And we're just going to reach from that shoulder. So instead of a reach like that, it's more of a reach like that, just so we're getting that sort of sliding of our shoulder blades. So alternating back and forth. So shoulder blades kind of one spreading and then it's coming back. One spreading and then it's coming back. We're kind of using that movement to work a little bit on the fascia that sits over our shoulders or over the muscles of our shoulders. So doing that sort of nice repetitive, sort of not a full range stretch, but just stretch and back, stretch and back. And then again, just have a little rest when the arms get tired. Give the shoulders like a little roll or maybe a shake or a shrug. Sit back and relax. Just notice what that area of your body feels like today. And it's all right if it feels really crunchy or might be a few pops and crackles. And then we're going to do the opposite movement now. So we've kind of gone shoulder blades one at a time, moving apart from one another. Now we're just going to bring them a little bit closer together. So again, I'll show you while your arms are resting and then we'll go together. So hands are going to come sort of like you've been stopped by, I was going to say like you've been stopped by the police. Not me. Hands are going to come either side of the chest. And what we're going to do is just really gently, and I say gently because I don't want us going like and squeezing and straining. We're just going to draw the hands back a little closer towards the shoulders. So maybe they start, maybe a forearm's length in front of us, and then they just gently draw back, and so do our elbows. So we go hands in front, and then we're just pulling the hands back, sort of pointing behind us or maybe slightly down with the elbows. So the shoulder blades now move closer together. They almost squeeze together a little bit. But what I don't want is us really exaggerating that squeeze. But we're just getting that movement of closer together and then back to neutral. Fantastic. So just bring in. Amazing. And again, just seeing how that feels. So by doing this, bringing the shoulder blades together, we're also just starting to open up the chest a little bit. So not only might we have sensation in the back where we're creating that slight squeeze, but we might start to feel it across the front of the chest, depending on what that area feels like for us. Good. It's kind of like a little squeeze and then a release. By squeezing the shoulders together, we're intentionally creating a little bit of tension. And then when we bring the hands back in front, that tension releases. Nice, everyone. And then just whenever you're ready, press that one there. And maybe have a drink. So I wonder now if we can almost bring a few of those movements, so the slight twist, the slight sending of the upper back and shoulders forward, and the retraction of the shoulder blades, if we can almost string those together just a little bit, we might even stick a little bit of spinal extension and flexion in there as well. So we're going to either hands can rest by your side, or you can just bring your hands sort of to cross them over your chest if that feels more comfortable. It doesn't matter really. We're going to try and keep our lower body, just because our main focus is this upper part of the spine today. Try and keep our lower body quite still and stable. So whether the feet need to, or your bum needs to adjust maybe. And then what's going to happen with our upper body is we're going to take a little turn, and then we're going to allow the spine to sort of start to fold forward. So we haven't done this movement yet. This is our flexion. Oh God, I always get it wrong way around. Flexion, extension. When we fold, this is that. And then we're going to come back up the side. And then at the top of that circle is where potentially you've got that slight opening of the chest, and maybe shoulders aren't pulling back as dramatically as they were before, but there is the opportunity for them to move a little bit closer together. So you're going to sort of start to move really slowly, because what I don't want is anyone feeling like dizzy or like they've been on a roundabout. So move really slow through that sort of circular motion. And even if you're not crossing your arms over, if at the top of that movement it helps you to bring your hands back so the shoulders move closer together, you can. And although that movement, although we're not doing that specific movement exactly, as you fold, so for instance, so once I've turned over to my left and then I start to drop my spine, what you might feel is that right shoulder blade is the one that's sort of moving slightly forward, and it's the left one that's stationary, or where it was. And we'll change direction in a minute, so we'll even it out. Nice. Maybe that's your point where you go have a little break and then you switch directions. And if you need to make, so that doesn't, just because we're going circular, it doesn't mean to be that it's got to be a really big circle. So just reminding you that you can keep it a lot smaller and you don't need to drop your head. So if your eyes prefer to be slightly forward, or even maybe you prefer to close your eyes. Nice. How does that feel for everyone? Does it feel nice?
It's quite pleasant, actually.
Good. So just roughly sort of doing, if we've done maybe 2 circles on one direction, doing 2 nice slow ones in the other. And then just coming back. And before you find total stillness, just as you come to sit back up, just now, let your spine sort of have a little wave, like left to right. So you can now just sort of let your weight shift a bit more into one bum cheek. We're not lifting the other bum cheek off the seat, but you might just feel that your weight shifts a little bit through the right hip, a little bit through the left, almost like you're a sort of big tree branch, just sort of swaying in the wind. Let your head follow as much or as little as it likes. And maybe here you take the next couple of breaths, breathing in through your nose, but breathing out through your mouth with a sort of bit of a bigger kind of sigh, letting go of that exercise and ready for the next one. Good. Beautiful work, everyone. And then you can just sort of let the movement of that spine just soften and slow and get a little bit smaller. And eventually just landing you back where we started. Amazing. So we're just going to add a little flow into the end before we have a little relaxation. So Just going to start to move a little bit more in time with the breath. That's an option, it's not a have to. So just because I'm sort of saying inhale, lift the arms, exhale, do this. If you're being like, no, I'm just going to breathe when I need to breathe, and my body's going to move at a different pace, that's fine. So don't stress about it. But if it's something that you like to practice and like to try, the opportunity is there. And that moving with the breath, sometimes it just allows us to almost sort of strengthen that sort of the anchor on what we're doing. So instead of just the movement being what grounds us in what we're doing, we can almost sort of strengthen that connection by adding in the breath as well. Sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. We're not going to get too attached on it either way, but it's just an invitation. So just again, sort of bringing together the sort of different movements that we've looked at today, just adding them to a nice little flow, which hopefully will settle us nicely into some relaxation time. Okay, so again, you can make movements bigger, make movements smaller, and skip any movements or freestyle if you want to at any point. So we're going to start just sitting up a little bit tall if we can, whether that's with support of your chair or without it. Let the shoulders start from a quite relaxed position. Neck nice and long. And just have a little check. Your head is sort of forward or back. And try for this neck just to be sat sort of directly on top of the spine. We're going to inhale and we're just going to raise the arms and slightly look up. So you can bring the hands together if you want to, or you can just keep them apart. Slightly look up towards the hands. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to take the arms across to the left and we're going to let the spine turn gently towards the left. Let the arms settle all the way down. Take a breath in there, take a breath out there, relax those shoulders a little bit more if you can. And we're going to keep our right hand on our left thigh or left leg. And then we're going to let our left side body stretch. So imagine that you're tipping water out of your right ear. If you want to, the left arm can reach upwards towards the sky or over a little bit, or you can keep the arm relaxed, thinking about tipping that water out of the right ear. Lovely. Big breath in, and then use your exhale to bring your spine back upright. And maybe if that left arm's reached up, we relax it down. Beautiful. Come back through the spine to that neutral position, and we're going to do the same little flow on the opposite side. So we're going to breathe in, reach the arms, lift the arms, maybe just lift the gaze slightly, and as you exhale, we're twisting towards our right. Let that left hand land on top of the right leg somewhere. Take a breath in and a full breath out. Feel the shoulders maybe just soften a little bit if you can. Gorgeous. And then when you're ready, inhaling, and as you exhale, we're going to stretch gently through the right side body. So you're going to tilt like you're tipping water out of your left ear. Up to you whether that right hand stays. Sometimes I like it on the waist, or you might start to slowly, gently reach it upwards, and it might reach over just a little bit. We can keep that arm nice and bent. It doesn't have to be straight. And again, just taking at least one full cycle of breath. We're going to use whenever we want to our exhale to gently come back, bringing the spine upright and letting that right arm return. Good. Undo your twist, bring your chest and torso back towards the front. And we're just going to do each side one more time. And I'll guide you, but if you're moving at a different pace from me, just crack on. You don't need to be in time with anyone on the screen. We'll meet back here. We'll do one more set on each side. So whenever you're ready, so you're going to breathe in and find that twist over to the left. So thinking about the chest turning towards the left. Not forcing, shoulders relaxed, tilting that water out of the right ear, maybe extending that left arm a little bit, maybe not. Using our exhale, the turn, spine lifts back. bring it to the middle. Take a breath, the pause, get ready for the opposite side. Last time, so inhaling, maybe the arms reach up, maybe the gaze lifts just a little bit. Exhale, find your twist to the right. Have a moment to settle there. Maybe it's a breathe in, sit up tall. Maybe it's an exhale, find a little bit of softness around your edges. Lovely. Inhale, prepare to tip the water out of that left ear. Exhale as you bend to the side. Again, in that side bend, taking at least an inhale and exhale, but more breaths if you need. And using our exhale to return and come back to the middle. Maybe as you return to the middle, you keep the palms at the chest, or maybe they rest on top of each other at the heart center. And maybe you close your eyes if you want to. Let the flow of your breath just continue, but your body can rest. Just taking an opportunity just to notice how you feel here before we relax and let everything settle. Lovely, and then just release your hands. You don't have to open your eyes, but you might want to just allow yourself to find a bit more of a softer position if you can. So maybe it's just a little wiggle of your bum as you sit back into your chair. Maybe you want to change and you want to move from your chair to lay on the sofa or the bed if you want to. Might be cushion behind your back or something. Just anything that you can do if you want to, just to feel a bit more supported, just for a couple of minutes. So we can close the eyes if that feels comfortable. We can keep them open. And if they are open, it's sometimes nice just to find something nice to gently focus on. It might be a plant or a shadow or something in your room that brings you a little bit of joy. But we've got like a soft focus if we've got eyes open. And although we're sort of exploring stillness, if it's available to us, there's no need to make that strict. So if your body is a body that needs to move, don't feel like you have to control that, because actually we want our efforts to be very low in this last couple of minutes. We want them to be putting in as little effort overall as possible. So if your body is itching to move, to stim, to soothe in a different way, what I don't want you to do is put all your effort into controlling that and stifling it. Just let it happen if it needs to. And just let your body really sink down into your chair. So try and give the chair your full weight. It might sound a bit of a funny phrase, but often we're sort of, even when we are entering sort of somewhere where we're intending to relax, sometimes we will still, not knowingly, but we'll sort of hold a lot of our body back. So I want you just to see if you can really flump, technical word, down into your chair. Relax your tummy. Don't worry about holding anything in. Relax the muscles of your face. So don't worry about kind of looking grumpy or unamused. Just let all those little muscles just go really slack if you can. And even if you're not clenching or gripping your jaw, but if your teeth are touching top and bottom, just separate them a little bit. So there's just that slight slackness in the jaw as well, if that's comfortable. Just because it's a place that I always find I forget, just taking a little bit of special attention to the forehead and the eyebrows. Can you soften there at all? And if you want to bring your your fingers and just give your forehead a little massage, if that helps you to keep that area nice and soft, then absolutely do that. And we're not doing anything particular with our breath at all. We're just letting the breath, just like the body, be in a place that's taking as little effort from us as possible. So however that feels for you. That will be different for everybody. Breath is sometimes an effort for us, depending on what we're managing. We're trying to find the sort of level of ease that is available for you today. If it's 10%, then it's 10%, great. If it's 50, great. If it's 90, great. Just give yourself permission to be held here with everything that's going on, with everything that comes with your package. Nothing has to be hidden or covered up. Just let yourself exist and take up this space where you can relax and be at ease. And if it's something that you like to do when we finish our practice, if you like to just bring your attention to a moment of gratitude, something, someone, a memory, an experience, a cup of tea, water coming out the tap, just bring that in now, whatever it is. Maybe taking a few intentional breaths and just really feeling that gratitude in your body. What does it feel like? Is there somewhere physically that you feel gratitude more? Do you feel it in your belly? Do you feel it in your chest? And we'll take one breath in and out together just to close off. Maybe it's the deepest breath you've taken all day, drawing your breath in. And whenever you're ready, letting it out. And blinking back your eyes whenever you're ready. Take a little bit of time. We are done.
Mm.
Thank you, everybody.
Mm.
Thank you.
I know.